I'm sorry, when we're doing the last slide, there was some internet connection. So the lecture just cut off there. So we'll be continuing there. I'm going to share the screen once more. Yeah, so we were here. We were talking about different types of raw data, is it not, which we use for ecological analysis. And then in addition to that, the key to becoming a good ecologist is that you have to collect all that, everything that is or directly or indirectly connected with your study. Sometimes observation which you make may not make any sense at that time, but it will be very important at a later stage. So it could be like you are not planning to do, whether it's male or female or a relative study about whether it is male or female. But the important thing is that whenever you are making any observation in the field, you have to ensure that you are writing down everything in your field book, because it may be at a later stage where you understand that there is a pattern in the data you have collected. So it is not like in the laboratory where you can repeat something which has been done again and again and again, because in nature, we may not be able to find replications. So that is one of the biggest challenges of ecological analysis, because the raw data which you are getting will be based on, so much of mountains and mountains of data which you have collected. And it is when you sift through the data, you'll be able to get some interpretation. It is not like you will be able to replicate again and again, again and again. The same goes for many of the ethological analysis also, that is behavioral studies also, because you are not able to manipulate many of these things in the lab. So now we start talking about what are the different things which you can calculate from in ecological statistics. So this is only just the tip of the iceberg. I'm just trying to tell you these are the things which you can do with it. So relative measures means, see, you are not taking a single number, but rather you are looking at it as a percentage. So like I showed you some examples of Puttur, Viyur, Shaktan, etc. So if say we got species 1, species 2, species 3, and it is the count is 10, 20, and 50. So here the absolute value for species 1 or the absolute count for species 1 would be 10. But if you're looking at the relative abundance of the species 1, it would be 10 plus 20 plus 50, that is 80. So 10 divided by 80 into 100. So this would be, when you solve this, this would be giving you the relative abundance of species 1. Similarly, there are so many different relative measures that can be measured. Then another way is like, see, when you're dealing with one site or maybe a few species, it is quite okay for us to look at individual numbers or individual relative measures, etc. But sometimes what happens is you have to compare over so many different sites, over so many different, sampling events, or you'll be having so many different species. So at that time, to make sense of data, which looks like, an Excel sheet with thousands and thousands of entry, you want to boil it down to a single something. So that is where these indices help you. And in your syllabus, you only have to study this. So we are only studying about alpha diversity indices and beta diversity indices. So alpha diversity indices will generally boil down all this data present from one particular geographical site, whereas beta diversity will be helping you to compare between two different geographical sites or two or more. So indices, now it is basically sort of a numerical number which will give you some idea about this is the diversity there, this is the evenness there, this is the dominance here. It will just give you some idea, and you will be able to corroborate that by looking at and further studying your raw data. Then in addition to that, there is a lot to ecological analysis. That is, you will be able to understand the relationship of a particular taxon with various abiotic factors or other abiotic factors. You may be able to do analysis about the guild, habitat, habit, niche of different species or single species. There is bioenergetics and thermodynamics, which actually tells you how energy is flowing. Okay, how energy is flowing from, the origin, that is sun, and then after that you got plants, and then you have got your species of interest. You will be having so many species around here, but your species of interest, how this is becoming part of the food web or the food chain, how energy is flowing down here. Then again, another part of this bioenergetics and thermodynamics is how biomass can be accumulated. Is it not? How biomass can be accumulated at in a particular species, in a community, in a population, or at a particular trophic level. All this can be studied in ecological data. So the problem is neither your ecology paper nor your biostatistics paper equips you to do all that stuff. For that, you will have to actually read the good textbooks like Peter Stilton, Eugene Odom, etc. And from there you have to understand how these things have to be done. There are so many wonderful textbooks for that. Then another thing which you talk about is survivalship curves. So maybe this is something which you have studied in ecology, where you study about different types of curves like this. Okay, this curve, this curve, this curve, is it not? Then the stair like curve. So here actually what you're trying to do is you're looking at the time, and you're looking at the number of individuals that are surviving, the number of individuals that are surviving. And based on that, you try to make survivalship curves, and you predict whether they belong to the R or the K type of species or somewhere in between. Then vital indexes are there. So vital indexes again become very important, because they try to help you to understand the relationship between the mortality and the natality rates, and whether there is any relationship, whether a particular pattern which is showing in a population is density induced or independent of density. Then again, population characteristics are there. For that, we have another entire big unit, is it not, which you're not studying here. So this is actually a nutshell of what ecological analysis is. So when you look at ecology, till now you studied ecology like a soft subject, something you just by heart you read up and you write something and you get good marks. But actually ecology is not that. It is a very technical subject. For ecology, you have to go out to the field, you have to observe, you have to make observations, sometimes which will not be able to, for which you will never be able to get a replication. You have to collect all this, you have to tabulate it properly in the form of numbers in various levels. It could be presence of absence, it could be count, it could be abundance, it could be abiotic measures, and using different levels of statistical analysis, you will be able to understand more about that particular ecosystem. So actually ecology is not that easy, or it is not that simple as you think about when you study your ecology paper. Whoever has made that syllabus, or whoever has, tried to, force you at that particular level, has done a great disservice, because that is why we don't get good ecology studies out of India. Another problem with ecology is that, see, many of you people, you are dreaming about becoming cancer biologists and molecular biologists, etc. That is a very noble ambition. But what you don't understand is that, see, ecology is really hard work. For you to get a good paper, sometimes you have to work 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. If you look at the foreign papers, you understand that many of the data, it comprises of data on climate change, etc. It comprises of 20 to 30 years of information. Sometimes it is a collaboration between more than 30 or 40 people all around the globe. Only then you are able to show something substantial. So ecology is not something which is to be taken lightly. Along with modern techniques, you can elevate it to a very, very serious subject. And that is something which you are supposed to do also. So I think that is all about the introduction to ecological statistics. And I'm going to stop today. Starting from tomorrow, that is Friday, we'll be talking about diversity index or indices. And that is the only thing which you have to study here in your syllabus. So that I'll be starting tomorrow. Thank you so much.